For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. Are Da Vinci's demons aliens? The persona of Leonardo da Vinci is vast, wrapped in an aura of mystery and mysticism. Leonardo is like an encrypted painting, like a coded novel that, upon reading, reveals a different beginning and a different ending each time. Leonardo was an extraordinarily gifted creator. He was a painter, sculptor, architect, inventor, anatomist, botanist, zoologist, musician, physicist, stage designer, and costume designer, born on April 15, 1452, in the village of Anciano near Tuscany. Leonardo was the child of an illegitimate affair between a wealthy notary and a servant named Caterina, who gave him life. From an early age, he demonstrated a brilliant mind. At school, he even challenged his teacher, possessing inexhaustible energy and an insatiable intellect. In short, Leonardo da Vinci was an incredibly gifted mystic for his time, who still provokes curiosity and admiration in anyone daring to delve into his strange and boundless world. But here are some interesting facts about this enigmatic creator. Da Vinci was born to a poor peasant woman and a wealthy notary. He was home-schooled. He had the ability to play the lyre, and very well at that. At one point, it was believed that Da Vinci was homosexual, for which a lawsuit was filed. He was accused of assaulting a boy who had posed for his paintings. The accusation was never proven, and Da Vinci was acquitted. One of his most famous dazzle and still mysterious paintings is the Mona Lisa. There are countless theories about what is depicted and why it was painted that way. One theory suggests it's a self-portrait of Leonardo. Another claims the woman was pregnant and hiding it, which explains her subtle smile. A third theory suggests people were brought in to entertain her during the painting. The first to answer the question, "Why is the sky blue?" was Leonardo in his book on painting. Leonardo could work equally well with both hands. It said he wrote with one while drawing with the other. He had difficulty reading fluently, a form of impaired concentration known today as dyslexia. He famously wrote his works in mirror writing. Leonardo created designs for submarines, weaving looms, tanks, and flying machines. He was the first painter to dissect corpses, aiming to understand the structure of muscles. He concluded that the earth is much older than described in the Bible. There is no confirmed self-portrait known to be of him. Da Vinci invented early diving equipment and described what is needed and how underwater submersions could be performed. He is believed to be the first person to interpret the tree ring patterns to estimate their age. In Milan, and throughout his life, Leonardo worked independently. He pushed the boundaries of science and made more discoveries in more areas than anyone before or since. He showed stunning versatility, unleashed his imagination, and made remarkable inventions epic scale devices, machines for draining land, new farming methods, irrigation systems, and military machines. His notebooks document his constant discoveries. He realized that the blue color of the sky is due to the illumination of small atmospheric particles. He studied the human body and was the first to observe how arterial hardening causes heart disease and death. Leonardo was always learning. He spoke with craftsmen, bell casters, cannon forgers, those most familiar with large-scale metal casting. His notebooks contain hundreds of sketches of wild horses and those from the Duke's stables, for whom he worked. Leonardo created a clay model of a horse of specific dimensions, declared a masterpiece and a marvel of sculptural technique. But the bronze casting remained only a plan. At that time, Leonardo also designed a giant scythe that could cut human legs. One of his most fascinating inventions was a forerunner to the modern tank, which wasn't built until WWI. 400 years later, the tank's engine was powered by 3 men using 3 cranks. They rotated and drove the wheels, similar to a crankshaft. Its effectiveness was minimal and required a lot of pushing to complete a full rotation. The tank was built according to Leonardo's plan, but the details were flawed. Gears placed incorrectly. Was this a mistake? Leonardo wasn't a fool. At the time, there were no intellectual property rights, so it's likely he intentionally added a mechanical flaw to deceive idea thieves. But Leonardo knew how to make it work. This device was unheard of for its time, just like flying saucers are today. As if it came from nowhere, Leonardo's genius could have won wars with this weapon. In 1495, to mark Leonardo's 13th year of service to Ludovico Sforza, the Duke commissioned a great project. Leonardo was to paint the Last Supper in the convent of Santa Maria del Grazie. Although the theme was often explored, Leonardo wanted something different. He aimed to capture the disciples' reactions at the moment Christ announces his betrayal. It was an overly ambitious idea, requiring experience in wet fresco, which he didn't have. Fresco painting demands all details be pre-planned. There's no time to delay. You must work continuously. But persistence wasn't Leonardo's strength, so he chose a different method. He created a plaster surface that could be painted even after it dried, allowing him to slow his work pace. In 1498, the fresco was completed. Da Vinci painted what he envisioned and surpassed even himself. It was a stunning success. Unfortunately, the experimental dry plaster technique that enabled him to achieve his goals severely damaged the masterpiece. A few years later, tiny cracks appeared under the paint's surface. Moisture destroyed the fresco, but even today, the original's brilliance is evident. The painting is a ghost, but a magnificent ghost. When Sforza and Leonardo looked at the fresco in 1498, they had no idea of its fate or their own. The French were preparing to invade Milan. The bronze horse project was abandoned, and the 60 tons of metal were used to make cannons. The French used the great clay model for target practice. Months later, Leonardo left Milan and began working for tyrants even worse than Sforza. He also clashed with the Pope in Rome. Leonardo became the most famous painter in Italy and then met a rival who despised and hated him. Michelangelo, the sculptor. What Michelangelo likely didn't know, and what remained hidden from scholars and fans for a long time, was that everything surrounding Da Vinci and his life was too mysterious and unusual, too secretive, much like the messages in his paintings. It's a fact that nearly every one of his paintings, when viewed in a mirror at a certain angle, reveals strange images, somewhat frightening, suggesting they may depict horrifying creatures, perhaps demons or aliens. But who are Da Vinci's demons? Why did the maestro hide their images in his paintings? Was it intentional, or was he guided by an alien intelligence? Why do we find hidden images, texts, numbers, and sacred geometry in his paintings, things only the most perceptive can see? Leonardo's life certainly holds many unanswered questions. It is said that, suddenly, at the peak of his creativity, he mysteriously vanished. He was missing for about 12 years, during which no one knew his whereabouts. People even began to forget about him. Only his paintings, diaries, and notes reminded the world of his existence. But what did Da Vinci do, and where was he during those 12 missing years? Rumors claim that when he returned, Leonardo had changed, but not physically. He looked exactly the same as 12 years earlier, even wore the same clothes, according to his apprentice, who said the maestro appeared suddenly one evening in the studio. The change was in how he wrote and painted, in how he interacted with others, as if spiritually elevated and even wiser and more talented than before. Some say he described this disappearance in a manuscript. In it, Leonardo detailed a strange cave he encountered. Inside, he met bizarre creatures of terrifying appearance. Yet Leonardo felt irresistibly drawn to them. He described the encounter as telepathic. They heard my thoughts and answered with their own, and I heard theirs and replied in the same way. Apart from the silence of the cave, only the occasional screeches of small bats were heard. What happened after this meeting with the mystical beings? Could they don't be the reason for the strange and terrifying images hidden in his paintings? Could Da Vinci's missing years be explained by his time in the cave, home to those demonic creatures? Look at some of his paintings that, viewed in a mirror at the right angle, reveal the mystical demons or aliens that Da Vinci, consciously or not, hid in his masterpieces. Leonardo used to say, "Only observation is the key to understanding." When all the threads are connected, it becomes clear that Mona Lisa was a snapshot of Leonardo's mature mind, a distillation of all he had learned through a lifetime of observing nature's secrets. All his life, Leonardo sought to control nature, but the flip side of order is disorder and chaos. He knew nature could be unpredictable and terrifying. In his later years, he had astonishing visions, the insight that, no matter how deeply we understand these forces, there is a terrifying dimension beyond human control. The prophecies of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci is one of the greatest figures of the Italian Renaissance and of world history. Recognized as a genius, His astonishing works and knowledge may never be fully comprehended. Da Vinci was a painter, researcher, thinker, mathematician, and more. His work continues to be studied to this day, while his masterpieces of visual art still awe all who see them. His scientific discoveries and notebook writings remained unpublished and unused for many years. Only recently have people begun to seriously examine his prophecies. These writings foretell events centuries into the future. Many of Da Vinci's predictions, coming from a man far ahead of his time, have already come true. Even more await us in the near future. That's quite unsettling, given what they contain. Da Vinci left behind a still, mysterious set of prophecies. They are grouped under the name forecast and resemble a literary puzzle. One distinctive feature is the cloaking of very ordinary things in mystery. Within the set of prophecies are many texts clearly predicting the future. However, they're extremely vague, leading to various interpretations. Each is grim and pessimistic, even those concerning technical discoveries. For instance, centuries ago, Leonardo predicted the rise of mobile communication with the words, "People will be able to speak with one another from the most distant countries." In a similar vein, he described the Internet. Beyond high-tech communications, the artist also foresaw the global warming we now face. Shellwater will rise to the highest mountain peaks, to the heavens, and then fall again upon people's homes. One prophecy about the near future reads, "Many of these people will hide along with their children. There, in the depths, in the caves, they will live with their families for many months, without any artificial or natural light." Analysts believe this refers to a massive nuclear apocalypse that will strike Earth